Welcome back. So economists like to think systematically about the things that we're studying, whether that's micro or macro. And one way to do that is by using theory and models to help guide our thinking. So theory is when we're using abstract ideas, when we've taken the complicated real world and simplified it kind of to its essential elements for whatever topic we're looking at. Now, a way that economists often use theory is through the use of models. And models are using the language of math to make a representation of, again, complicated real-world phenomena that have been simplified down. So models are not realistic by definition. Models don't exactly mirror the real world. If they did, they would be so complicated that they would be the real world. The whole point of a model is to simplify things so that it's easier to understand certain core elements of what's going on. And math enables us to do that in a systematic way. In an advanced economics class, you use math to create or work with models. You see a lot of Greek letters. In this class, in a principles class, we use math in the sense of charts. So we're going to draw pictures. We're going to use those to understand the key ideas of some of these models that help us think about things in a systematic way. So just to get us primed for how to use a chart to guide our thinking, I'm going to make this little chart. So I just drew a little circle and it says firms inside it. So we're going to be studying firms and their decision about what to make and sell. Now we're also going to look at households. So there are people living who are buying stuff and consuming it, right? So we're buying food from the grocery store, we're ordering stuff from Amazon. So there's this stuff that firms are making that we are buying. So there's goods and services that are flowing from firms to households. Now, do firms do that out of the goodness of their heart? No. They're selling it, right? So there's money that goes, money for goods and services. So there's a little circle. Stuff going from firms to households, money going from those households to the firms. Now this is a very simple circle diagram showing the key, again, abstract actors in an economy. Very simple. We've taken away a lot of the nuance of things, but this is helpful for actually realizing a second point, which is households are actually the ones who are supplying firms with some really important stuff, namely labor and capital, money that has been saved up, that they've invested, that firms are now going to be able to use. So our circle chart actually gets a little bit more complicated. We've got goods and services going from firms to households. Households are paying the firms for those goods and services, but we've also got households who are working and supplying labor to those firms, also investing money in stocks or other things, maybe putting money in the bank, and the bank is giving it to the firm to use as an investment that they use as part of their production. So are people doing that out of the goodness of their heart? No, they're getting wages, right? And they're getting interest or some kind of earnings on the money that they've lent to these firms. So we end up not only with one circle of goods and services going from firms to households and the money people pay for those, there's actually another one going the other way of people supplying their labor and their capital to firms, and firms paying households for that capital and labor. So a circle diagram is a simplified, very simplified version of an economy, right? It's not accurate in the sense that, well, the money usually goes to a bank first, so we should draw banks here. We could make it much more complicated to try to make it more realistic, but what we want to do is have it as simple as we can for the purpose. And the purpose of this one is to show that not only are firms selling stuff to households, households are actually kind of selling stuff to firms too, in the form of labor and capital investment. So we'll use a circle flow chart later. I'll hold it up so you can see it better. I apologize. So one thing I'm doing is I'm testing how well it works for me to say write on a notepad and hold it up. It looks like it would be a lot easier if I used clear paper instead of line paper, so there's one lesson. I may be using a whiteboard. I may be drawing on the computer screen itself. We'll try some different things and see what works well. As always, let me know if you've got feedback for me. I'm always looking to improve things, and it's a learning process. I'll talk to you guys soon and see you next week.